welcome back. A time for Campaign Chronicles, our regular look at France's presidential election. And for that, I'm joined in the studio by Nick Rushworth. Nick, Marine Le Pen and her far-right voters still weighing heavily in this election.
Well, that was a big surprise, wasn't it? In the first round, we saw more than 6 million French people cast their ballot for Marine Le Pen, which is pretty extraordinary, certainly not expected, not in the polls at least. This is Le Figaro today, page 2 of its paper, and it's there saying in that piece, in the second round, the National Front, Marine Le Pen, is going to give a ni-ni, a neither-or. So is that a win-win for Marine Le Pen? Maybe, because by not coming out firmly for one side or another, she's preparing the ground for June's legislative elections, when, of course, with that swell of support that she has, she wants to turn that into political seats in Parliament, and so she's very keen to do that. Now, the headline there, ni-ni, a win-win maybe, that's because ultimately this right-wing, far right-wing electorate is split. Some of them are saying, well, I'm going to abstain. Neither of these two people, Hollande or Sarkozy, are suitable for me. Or I will vote Sarkozy to block the left because I don't want any socialists. Or they're saying, no, I will vote left to block the UMP, the ruling UMP, which, as far as many far-right National Front supporters feel, have not delivered in the last 5 years.
Nick, tell me more about this letter Marine Le Pen is supposed to have written to Sarkozy and Hollande.
Well, that's covered in Le Parisien, Aujourd'hui en France, and that basically is her message to the two men, Sarkozy and Hollande, and she's saying, listen, stop now with your insults and your contempt of my electorate. This is not a question of good French voters on one side and bad French voters on another, she's saying in that letter to them. She's saying those 6 million and more, 6.4 million according to Le Parisien Aujourd'hui en France, those 6.4 million reflected long and hard about their choice for her. Now, of course, again, back to this question of the June vote, because if we think beyond the second round and think of what can happen in June, what happens in Parliament, of course, Marine Le Pen is asking Sarkozy, will you accept one of my MPs or a socialist MP in the runoffs in the legislative vote? So, of course, Sarkozy has said, I am not falling into that trap. So, very difficult game for all the players here.
Yeah, it's definitely hotting up, huh? Now, tell me about Marine Le Pen's success in one town in particular.
Well, of course, this is, again, I'm sticking with Le Parisien, and it has this story that's on page 8 of the paper, and there I can just show you quickly. And it shows a report from Colombe, Les Deux Églises, which is a small town in the east of France, and that town happens to be the burial place and the residence of Charles de Gaulle. So there couldn't be much more of a monument than that. There in the village, there's the Croix de Lorraine, which is the monument to his role as commander of the Free French Forces. Now, in that town, 49% backed Sarkozy, as you would expect, a big support, but in 25% voted Marine Le Pen. So they rejected the Gaullist legacy. Now that's extraordinary. When I read the report, the thing that struck me was a comment by the woman interviewed in the piece, Martine, who says she didn't vote for Marine, but what she feels in the village of 700 people is that, well, they just feel totally alienated. They just feel fear. They feel what they see on television, and they don't even know what they're doing. Now, another person they interviewed in that piece who's saying, yes, I did vote for Le Pen. He's saying, yes, I'm not doing this because of the immigration issues, all of those more difficult things. I'm doing it for the greatness of France, which is a very vague phrase, perhaps meaning, a desire to preserve France's borders and that whole globalization concern.
And we've got one paper talking about Sarkozy gaining ground with far-right voters.
Well, this is in 20 minutes. It has a full spread on all the latest polls of all kinds. Again, there's not much shift. It's still very much Hollande is going to win that second round. There it's saying Sarkozy grignote. He's eating into the far-right vote. He's getting some voters. He's also getting some voters from Bayrou, from the centrist. but it's not enough. He's not going to cover that gap, and it's saying that one of the surveys on that page, it's sort of like a survey of surveys, is saying that 2 out of 3 French people have decided Holland has got it. So that we'll see on the 6th of May, Sunday, 9 days away, which we will be hearing about in full every day here on France 24.
We certainly will be delivering the news in full on that every day on France 24, as you say. Thank you, Nicholas Rushworth. That concludes our Campaign Chronicles. Do stay tuned to France 24.
On May 6th, the French will elect their future president. Will it be François Hollande or Nicolas Sarkozy? Join the world's leading French media group and get live second-round presidential election news. France 24, Monte Carlo Doualia and RFI bring you special coverage. Join our political experts and guests. Find out first, right here, who France's next president will be. Our correspondents report live from candidates' headquarters and the world's capitals. Our news staff is on the move for you. Join France 24, Monte Carlo Doualia and RFI. Get the election news first, no matter where it happens.